Well, this was kind of a neat call. I got called out on an S595. We're just going to go through a couple pictures here because of the way they've changed the way I can do videos. But we can still share this type of information because I do this a couple times a year. I see this issue. I didn't know when I got called out there. The call was written up as S595, hard to start, and then when it did start, it ran rough, and then it would die out. It sounded like a fuel issue, but it also had a code for IMV fault, the inlet metering valve. It's the valve on the high-pressure fuel pump that meters the amount of fuel into the injectors, or the fuel pressure, I guess. So I wasn't sure what was coding for that. So when I get to the site, I tried to start it, and again, just like they described, it was hard to start, and it did. It kind of ran really rough. It just sounded odd to me. So I wanted to see if it was getting any air in the system. So here you can see I'm just kind of looking at the fuel filter. It does have the new style Bobcat fuel filter on it. That's one thing I want to make sure that it does have original filter on it. I checked the primer bulb. I went ahead and pumped it up to pressure, and everything seemed fine back here. But the exhaust kind of smelled a little funny to me as well. So I've got the fuel filter pulled off here, and I'm going to take a sample of fuel. And when I opened up this fuel filter and I kind of poured some of this diesel into my pan, it smelled funny. Sometimes I don't trust my nose. It's like, what am I smelling? Am I smelling gasoline? That's almost what it smelled like to me. Sometimes you can tell that they put a ton of additive in it. And since this is wintertime, that's one thing we'll see is they just put so much additive into the fuel system, it'll clog up the fuel filter and cause issues. But you usually get like real pressure codes or something, not really IMV faults. So it smelled to me like there was gasoline in it. So I just took a little sample of fuel here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it. I put this kind of over my pan, kind of over in the snow. I took my torch, and boom, it just lit off immediately. That is not how diesel fuel lights with the torch. So that right there told me that, yes, I was smelling a high concentration of gasoline in the system. Gasoline is not good for high pressure common rail systems. Probably not as bad as water. It seems like water will take out injectors fairly quickly, but gasoline, I've got a 50-50 chance of saving the system. So what I did is I went ahead and pulled that fuel filter out of the way. You can see here, and on the fuel tank, I pulled the filler neck off. And a lot of people don't know that there's a sock inside that filler neck. And see, I've got this kind of sock type filter pulled out here. And if we look inside of that, we can kind of see the debris it caught. So it's got some rocks and some pebbles or whatever. So where does those rocks and pebbles and debris come from? You always think if you're pouring out of a can or out of your diesel tank on your truck that you always got clean fuel. Well, this little filter right here shows that that's not the case. Another thing I want to bring up is that this is kind of a fine mesh filter. So sometimes you'll see or hear people on the forums that say when they're trying to put diesel fuel into the tank, it runs back up the tube and overflows out the top. And a lot of people's like, check your vent tube, blah, 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 check all that. Majority of the time, the problem is this sock filter. Always find the cap of, that goes on the stem of your 5-gallon fuel can. I find that cap sitting right on top of that sock. And the fuel, it will slowly drain past it, but the cap is sitting directly on top of that, blocking the flow, and it comes right out the filler neck and overflows up the top. So if you ever see that issue or hear someone talk of that issue, that's going to be a good thing to check. But once I get that out of the way, what I'm getting to is that's how I pump the tank out. So once I get that filler neck and that sock off, I put my pump down in there, pump out all the fuel. I change the fuel filter. I put 5 gallons of fuel in there of clean diesel, and flushed all my lines with that diesel. Then I pumped that out, and then I put another 5 gallons of diesel in there. And just flushed all my lines and everything and changed the filter again. So I actually changed the filter twice. I think after I run it, I put another new filter on there just to make sure that we got good clean diesel all the way through that system, and then we were able to get that machine running, and it ran perfect after that. But it was a little concerning with that high concentration of gasoline that we might have lost a pump or injectors. But in this case, it started up and it ran good. So I just thought I would share that little service call with you, because I do see that several times a year, and you usually see that in rental machines and all. This was not a rental machine. So I don't know how, the customer's not sure how it got in there either, but they never are. They always claim they have no idea where gasoline came from. I have heard that it comes from like a BP gas station. The BP has green handles even on their gas pumps. So that's something to keep in the, to take into consideration anyways, that a lot of people accidentally put gasoline in, even in their diesel vehicles, their trucks at the BP station. So I don't know why. And maybe they've changed that already, but in the past I heard that a lot. I don't have any BPs out here in my area, but maybe that's what happened here. I'm not sure. But anyways, any questions on that? Gasoline, high concentrations of gasoline and diesel fuel, please let me know. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your support. Again, I don't usually ask people to subscribe, but it's more important than ever that you do subscribe to the channel. Help us keep these Bobcat videos going so we can, we can get over this pushback that I've got on filming these videos. So again, thanks for watching.